Well, Mr. Jules Zalon is here, and of course he's on the third board, and we've got a lot to talk about today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you.
The most important subject to discuss is the current board elections. It may seem odd since there's only 3 people running for 3 board vacancies, but there's something, this is very important. I want to make sure I read this because it's important. Ballots have already been mailed out. We have a couple of weeks before they are going to be counted, but it's very important to fill them out and send them back, even though the election is uncontested. Our bylaws require that in order to do any business, we need a quorum, which is 15% of the actual members. And if we don't have, and an election is business. So if we don't have a quorum, we're going to have to go back and repeat this entire process. And just in case anyone is unfamiliar with our procedures, it's a very safe, formal, and expensive secret ballot process. Last year, Laguna Woods spent roughly, the whole village spent roughly $60,000 on conducting uncontested elections. And we're doing it right now. 3 candidates, 3 vacancies.
That's right, last year was the same.
It was the same, right. And this election will cost us between $10,000 and $20,000. So while it may sound a bit peculiar, if less than 15% send in their ballots, we're going to wind up having to go through the same expensive exercise again. So whatever you do, please send in your ballots. If this sounds nuts, it's only because it is. In a logical world, people vote because they want to express their desire to select this or that candidate. It's your choice. You vote in secret. It's nobody's business who you prefer. But in our case, the only reason for voting right now is to make sure that we reach this 15%.
Yes.
Because otherwise, we're going to be going on and on and on. It may surprise you, but Third has a bylaw that actually handles this exact situation. And it provides that when the number of candidates is equal to or less than the number of vacancies, we don't have an election. The candidates are simply declared elected. In that situation, which is what we face right now, there's no membership vote. Okay, so why do we have to spend all this money in the first place? Because our lawyers say we have to. There is a state statute that requires that, and here's what it says: election and removal of directors shall be held by secret ballot according to a formal procedure. That's the whole reason we go through this, because we supposedly have to. But a good argument can be made that the statute doesn't apply in this situation because our bylaws anticipated that if there is a declaration, then there is no vote cast by the membership. And if there's no vote cast by the membership, we don't have to go through this formality. And if we followed our bylaws and just declared those 3 candidates elected, that would be that. So whether we really need to conduct a formal election really depends on the interpretation of the statute. To save ourselves all this trouble again, Laguna Woods is championing a lobbying effort in Sacramento to change the law to specifically provide that in an uncontested election, you can have election by acclamation. The legislature has passed it. It's on the governor's desk, and if he signs it, that takes care of the problem. But there's a furious attempt to convince the governor to veto it. And if he vetoes it, we're back in the same position we are right now. There is a school of thought that believes that all of this, including the lobbying effort, is totally unnecessary, that our bylaws, as I explained, doesn't require a vote because if you don't have a vote, you don't have to follow the statute. Viewed that way, the statute would just not apply. I happen to be of that school of thought, and I've written a rather dense legal argument. I mean, it goes along, it's like 9 pages single-spaced in its favor. And if anyone is interested, they can just email me and I'd be happy to send them my brief.
Okay.
Hopefully the governor will sign the current bill and it'll all become academic. But if he vetoes it, this issue, rest assured, is not going away anytime soon.
Okay.
Really interesting issues. The Landscape Department is working with the Orange County Fire Authority to clear away vegetation on our western border.
Right.
Given the number of fires that we've had locally recently, it's really, none too soon. I think the closest one was the fire at the Wood Canyon. Came right up against
over
Soka University.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
really something. There is something I think is extremely important, and it doesn't get enough publicity. I'm on the, I periodically appear on the executive committee hearings. We have disciplinary hearings and damage hearings.
Right.
And invariably, almost the only damage hearings we ever have concern water damage. And they come from two places. It comes from the ice maker going to the refrigerator, and it comes from leaking hot water heaters. And both of these issues can be easily avoided. Anyone with a refrigerator with an ice maker is a sitting duck for something like this. And it is so easy to avoid that problem. Pull the refrigerator out, or get a handyman to pull the refrigerator out, and it's almost certain that there's going to be an old copper tube that runs there, and these copper tubes break. So the easy way of handling that problem is to disconnect the copper tube and put in a steel braided flexible hose.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're not right next to your sink, somebody may have to drill a hole in your cabinet, but it really is just unscrew them and put this new, hose in. We recently changed our refrigerator, and I did it myself. I mean, it really, really is easy.
And something, I want to mention along those lines, because it's something that we did.
Yeah.
We don't use our ice maker in ours. However, there is a little spigot in the back, that there is a connection.
Yes.
Make sure, we did this years ago when we moved in, is cap off that connection just to be on the safe side. It's usually a little T-valve.
Right.
And those can leak as well, but if you cap that off, you're
Absolutely.
safe. So you may have that there, but you choose not to use it.
Yeah, and these are really important because somebody on an LH21 or a Garden Villa apartment, if you're on the third floor and you have a water leak, you're not going to just have to fix your leak and have a dry down, which is expensive and a pain in the neck, but you may wind up paying for the damage, for the people below you. The next one is the hot water heater, and this is really easy, and I'm sure most people just don't do the simplest thing to protect themselves. On your water heater is a date, the date installed. And if that date is more than 10 years old, get that thing replaced, because that can really be a problem. But there's also, even if it's only 4 or 5 years, you can get it serviced. There are places that advertise like 50 or 60 bucks to actually do a flush. They can change the anode tube, and essentially it becomes like a new and refreshed water heater, and most people just don't do it. So that is my...
All right, you want to talk about Ridge Route, right? In the wall along there?
Well, yeah, on Ridge Route, we have finally, there was this problem with Ridge Route because there was this big camouflage, there was a thicket, this jungle on the outside of our very short wall, and it was becoming a homeless encampment.
Right.
So what we did was we went in there and really cleaned it out. I mean, when you're riding down Ridge Route Drive now, you can see.
Yes.
You can see right through. Nothing is perfect, and one of the problems is, we're putting, ultimately we're looking to contract out Shepherd's Crook, which will raise the bar to 7 feet. But in addition to that, this was a nice, quiet, private area in back of cul-de-sac 212. Now you can see from the street right into somebody's right into somebody's window. So the landscape department is taking it upon itself to come up with some cute little ideas to keep it open, but also to camouflage it from the outside. Landscape is also working on turf conversion, and it is we are now committed to proposing major turf reduction, converting to drought-tolerant landscape. And the thing that's really surprising, you know, particularly because we have all of this often beautiful lawn, is the support that we have gotten from our determination to start to convert to drought-resistant landscape. In the last 2 meetings, we have literally had people cheering in the, you know, from the audience when we said we were going to be doing that. We've been visiting many communities. I've gone to Ocean Ranch, which is about 12 miles south of us. There are 4 community developments in what used to be, you know, in the Great Park area, used to be the marine terminal.
Yeah.
And every single one of those communities have exclusively drought-resistant
yes, they do. Yeah.
planting. And we've gone out there with Bruce. We've toured it 2 or 3 times. I went out there last week and took about 150 photographs of the individual plants. We're working on a plant palette. We're in touch with the guy who actually designed the entire development out there, Ken Smith, a hotshot landscape architect in New York City. We're also speaking to the people who did Orchard Ranch with the idea of coming in and giving us some ideas. So it looks like this is something that is an idea whose time has come. We can save, what, 70% of our water, 60% of our labor costs, and like 80% of our green waste costs. So it makes a lot of sense to be doing this. Next subject, Shakespeare on the Patio is coming back by popular demand. The old prose biennial program. It's going to be on the patio in the courtyard of Clubhouse 1 on Sunday and Monday evenings. We fill the patio with round tables. People come in. Last year, both shows were essentially sold out. So, you know, get there like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And, you know, picnic, bring your own food and et cetera. As Cole Porter once said in Kiss Me, Kate, this is a great way to brush up your Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it will be. It always is.
Yes.
Yeah, very enjoyable.
Yeah. The El Toro Water District has now finished laying the pipes and completely redoing the road work. So they finished the excavation. Now they're connecting the lines, and in the next couple of months they're going to be testing it just to make sure that there's no runoff or bleeding running between the irrigation, you know, lines and
yeah, that'll be all nice when that's
and potable water.
Done. Yeah.
Yes, but you know, that's going to save us a little bit of money as well.
Yeah, yeah. So very good. So we'll see what happens in the future for uncontested elections.
Well, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
hopefully,
it won't affect this one.
Hopefully, the governor will sign it,
Yeah.
and we won't have this problem anymore.
Yeah.
If he doesn't sign it, this issue is going to be back on our front burner real soon.
Yeah, it probably will be.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure
I
to see you.
appreciate it. You take care.
You too.
And we'll see you again soon, and we'll be back.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'll be